This is the You, Me, and BTC podcast.
Cryptocurrency decrypted.
Welcome to episode 94. First up this week, we're addressing some hate mail that we got after our last episode. As part of that, we'll share a bit about the background of You, Me, and BTC and discuss some of our goals. Then after that, we'll cover the purse hack that occurred over the weekend. I was one of the first people to notice the breach, so I'll explain how it all went down for me. We'll also share some general security tips and chat about Purse's quick response to the issue. Then to wrap things up, we'll touch on some Bitcoin price analysis, the video game Portal, and more. Your hosts today are Tim Baker, John Stuart, and myself, Daniel Brown. Here we go. Alright, so we had a really eventful week, I guess. It's been a crazy few days for You, Me, and BTC. Probably some of the most eventful stuff we've had ever. First of all, I let my co-hosts here. I am Daniel Brown, and I'm here with
Tim Baker
and John Stuart.
Yeah, so I let these guys handle the show themselves near the end of last week's episode, and they earned us our first hate mail ever. I mean, not mail, it was a comment.
Yeah, I also like to point out that we got us a comment, so if that's what it takes to get you
that's a good point, Tim.
On our website, we will continue to do it.
We got more comments than you.
Yeah, Daniel.
Sure, yeah, it's true. Actually, that's not entirely true. There were a few comments on YouTube about the first half of the show.
People are just on YouTube just randomly making comments. This guy had to be angry enough to sign in.
Anyway, yeah, someone was upset that Tim and John did not know
anything.
Well, super quick recap. Super quick, because they went off on it for quite a while last week. Because that was actually really fun. If you haven't heard it, you absolutely have to catch that episode. I think it was number 93. And basically, they left their recording going, Tim and John did, while they were deciding what to talk about. And in the end, we decided to use that recording. So I called it kind of a behind-the-scenes thing. So you really got to listen to it. It was pretty fun. But the stuff that they were talking about was some drama with CoinFire, a Bitcoin news site. And they're under some legal issues, maybe. And there's a whole lot of confusion out there, and people disagree if there's maybe a gag order or if they correctly reported about GAW miners or Cryptsy or whatever. Just a ton of confusion and drama. And Tim and John were trying to sort through it all. And the conclusion was really just, it's hard to tell what's true on the internet. And yet someone out there was really, really upset and said he was never listening again because CoinFire was proven right, and we really should have known that. And I guess that's it, pretty much. Did I miss anything?
No. So do we get a chance to defend ourselves now?
Do it. Go for it.
Well, I was kidding, but I mean, I guess I will.
Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I guess first of all, I don't know if we've ever said this like on a podcast, but like we're not professionals, and we also are not really a news podcast. Like we talk about news, but we're not a news source.
Yeah, absolutely.
We always get our news from other places, and we always give our sources. Like we're mostly just an opinion podcast, and we're also amateurs still, I guess, because we're not professionals. But I mean, more importantly than that, I guess I'm not really interested in people who don't have a sense of humor listening to our show. So like if people don't like that, then maybe this isn't the show for them. And we never said that CoinFire was wrong.
Yeah. I mean,
basically,
also from your text, did we actually even talk about FinCEN and the thing?
Well, I just remember Tim's he was reading something, and he's like, and FinCEN, I don't know what that is, but FinCEN did this and this and this. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Anyway.
Well, yeah. I feel like we've talked about them in other podcasts or previous.
I should just start doing that all the time. Just like, Coinfire. I've never really heard of it. Or CoinDesk. I'm not really sure, but you guys might have heard of it.
It's some website out there. It's called CoinDesk, whatever.
Have you guys heard of Dogecoin?
But I mean, I guess that episode was a risk, and maybe we shouldn't have posted it, but we did, and I don't know, if people don't like it.
This is just us. We get real on this podcast, and if you can't deal with it, then just get out.
You're right. It was a risk because there was a lot of stuff, and it was pre-show, right? I mean, we hadn't figured everything out yet, which a lot of times I guess we don't anyway. But there were a lot of things that, well, I guess you guys were still sorting through, and we decided to include that part, and so it goes, right? I mean, that's what we did. Yeah. It was fun. It was interesting. It was transparent. So why not?
Yeah. I mean, you could also say that it highlights the fact that there's a reason why there's 3 of us on this podcast and not 2. Because I think anytime it's just 2 of us, it's usually not as good. Like, no matter which 2 of us it is.
I think I could see that. I think so. And also, I was going to say, a lot of what you said, John, I did respond in another comment, and I said basically, yeah, we're not experts. We've known since the very beginning, and we have said this several times on the show, the focus of our show is to be casual and conversational. We said those exact words before we ever did our first recording, because that's kind of what we felt like focusing on, casual and conversational.
Also makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly. Because we can say whatever we want and we don't have to be right. Because it's all opinion. I mean, yeah, it is true. I'll admit, I mean, it's not as ideal or perfect as somebody who's finding every single fact, presenting every single fact. I mean, yeah, of course there's value there, but we like to have fun, so we have fun. And we focus on that more. So,
I think like news is more of something that we use as a jumping point to talk about bigger concepts than actually talking about the facts. Like we talk more about conceptual things, maybe.
Exactly.
That sounds pretentious, but.
And if you're interested in getting a sneak peek into the vulgar texting habits of me and Tim. I do have in that response, I posted a screenshot, an image of a text that I sent to Tim while I was editing, and it was a little bit vulgar, and I said, like, you don't know what GAW miners is, you don't know what Coinfire is, do you even Bitcoin, bro? Something like that, so check that out. And I don't know, Tim, what do you think? Should we start maybe not weekly, but every once in a while, should we do a segment where we read our texts on the air?
No,
there could be some fun stuff.
That's the worst. That is one of the worst ideas I've ever heard you say.
I don't know, Tim. They get pretty crazy.
Daniel, what? Like, do you realize, like, from the second that you said vulgar text messages,
the only thing that are coming into people's minds.
Seriously, the only thing that hasn't been a miserably poor choice of words since then has been you actually reading the text.
All right, moving on. So, that was the comment that we got, but I guess also it's worth mentioning that Coinfire tweeted us, Mike from Coinfire, and the first thing he tweeted us was, all he said was, that was disappointing. And I thought he was basically saying the same thing as the commenter. I thought he was basically saying, like, oh, you should have known the facts. Why did you say bad things about us? Which we didn't say bad things about you. We said we don't know what the heck the truth is. That's all they said. But anyway,
might have inferred some bad things, but who knows?
Yeah, it's possible.
I would say that we didn't, but
I just know my tendency to talk negatively.
So
what he actually meant was just Daniel in general has just been disappointment to him as a person.
No. He wasn't talking about me. What he really meant by his tweet, which came out through a couple replies and stuff, he said he was disappointed by the behind-the-scenes content because he thought that any time it was just you two left alone, he thought that you would automatically default to making fun of me, and you didn't really do that very much. And so he was disappointed because I left you two alone and you didn't make fun of me.
That's because we're better people than you are, Daniel.
First of all, I'm impressed that he knows that, and second of all, I now realize why that guy gave us hate comment. No wonder he doesn't want to listen to the show anymore.
No.
I'm done with this.
There were two different people. It wasn't Mike.
God,
it wasn't
no,
Mike.
I
who
know.
left the
He
comment.
gets the
I
Daniel,
know
it's a
that.
joke.
I know, but now that he said that, I realized what actually upset that other guy so much.
Oh, yeah, because you didn't make fun of me. Yeah. That's funny. I mean, I always thought the default was to make fun of Tim, but why does
because
John...
you're never there when you're not there.
That's true. That's true. John gets off really easy. Like, I don't know if we've ever made fun of John on the show. Have we, Tim?
I'm sure we have. He talks
not
like
enough.
Weird things.
Definitely
and then
not
generally,
enough.
whenever you ask him to do something, like if you're talking, I think I did this to him while we were doing our part of the show. I was kind of just talking, and then all of a sudden gave it to him. I'm pretty sure I heard him like cough on something he was drinking.
See, that's another thing from last week. When I was editing, I texted Tim that he has way too much respect for John, because at some point during the episode, I don't know if it was
That
left
was
in
at
or
the
not.
beginning, and that's only because I don't even
Hang
know.
on.
was
I
the
need to
word?
tell the story first, Tim. Tim said something along the lines of, "Well, for anyone else, I would keep being annoying, but for you, John, I'll stop being annoying," or something
No,
along
I
those
said
lines.
for anyone else, I wouldn't, but it was a phrase I was using that I didn't need to use that you corrected me on. It was like a shortened version, like a cutesy, annoying name of something, and I was like, "Yeah."
You know
John,
what it was? It was the Winklevie. Tim said Winklevie.
Yeah, it
John
was.
said stop saying Winklevie. And then Tim said, "Well, for anyone else I would keep saying Winklevie, but for you, John, I'll stop saying Winklevie." So yeah,
That's because Tim and I go too far back.
John's
Tim-
able to shame me.
Tim, you're a
Something not
suck
many
up.
people are able to do.
shut up, Tim, you're a suck up.
No, I think it's because like I can do more harm to Tim's ego than anyone else.
Pretty much,
Well,
yeah.
that might be true, but I can do more harm to Tim's bank account, so
That was uncalled for. That was uncalled for. You just went way too far. This just got real.
I will
Now
put
you
him
wanna
in
this-
the,
now-
out on the street.
This is the real behind the scenes.
yeah, true
When
statement.
Daniel threatens to financially ruin Tim.
Now,
It can
now
happen.
you see why.
Daniel's
I'm
also
forced into
been
this
talking
podcast.
about how he wants the world economy to collapse for like the last few months.
I know.
I've been saying that for years.
I'm a terrible person.
I also want there to be
Okay.
a plague.
All right, can we move on to Purse now? Another drama-filled few days.
Oh, so dramatic. Yeah, so dramatic that I passed out while I was waiting for Daniel to tell
yeah.
me that if we were going to do a live show or not.
Yeah, we thought about doing a live show, and Tim said, "All right, let me take a nap," and then he never woke
Which
up.
I've
so-
never done it
That's
before.
what happened?
Yeah.
I was so confused.
No, well,
I was
that's
just
not
like
why we
waiting
didn't
for a
do
while.
it.
And then I was like, I guess I'm going to bed.
So, here's the deal. There's got to be a little bit of preface here. The first thing I got to say is I still think Purse is a pretty cool service, and I completely plan on using them whenever I need to. Nothing wrong with Purse at all. I love them. We actually have some affiliate stuff set up with them, and I think you should use them too. Seriously, it's a great service. I'm not going to describe the service because we've done it 100 times on the show. Just look on our website for something. Search for Purse. I don't know. Anyway, they are a shopping service for Bitcoin, and that means that they hold Bitcoin. They keep Bitcoin for their customers. And I can say this now, they were officially hacked on October 10th. It was a few days ago from now. This is the 13th. And you'll be hearing this on October 15th if you care about any of those dates. They were hacked on the 10th. And for a while, they weren't completely sure what was going on. And I thought about posting a story. I thought about doing a live show. But we held off on that for a little bit just to let them sort things out and get everything right. But CoinDesk has published it now, and apparently Purse was communicating with them about it. So we're okay to I guess one of the main things I want to do is just tell the story about how it happened. And honestly, I was the very first one to notify them that this was going on. So I guess I'll start with that and just tell the story. I'm also going to post probably a text version of the story. And that by the time you listen to this, that might already be on the site if you're at all interested in that. But here it goes. So yeah, October 10th, like we said, I was just sitting at my computer, and all of a sudden, in an not extremely quick succession, within about 2 minutes, I got 3 separate emails. And the first one said, it was from Purse, and it said, click this button to reset your password. It's a completely normal email. Anytime you go to a website, you try to log in, and you click the forgot your password link, they send you an email that says, to reset your password, click this button. I got that email, and I was confused because I never asked to reset my password. I'm like, all right, whatever, just a fluke, weird accidental email. Then really soon, 30 seconds, 45 seconds later, I get an email with a PIN code that is needed to confirm a withdrawal. So when you try to withdraw money, they send you a code to your email so that they can, just to verify it, you have to open the email, get the code, and use the code to complete the withdrawal. It's just kind of, it's a form of two-factor authentication. They have to know that you're the real person because you're on Purse and you have access to your email. And I got that, and then I was really scared because I saw in the email they were withdrawing like 1.1 Bitcoins, like $300. And that made me really nervous. The second I saw that email, I jumped on to a Slack room with the Purse admins. I said, hey, emergency, my account's being hacked as we speak, because I thought that my email had been hacked. I thought that somebody got into my email, they saw that I was using Purse, and so they went to Purse and said, hey, reset the password, here's the PIN code, I'm into your email, whatever. I was scared to death for a half hour or so, just because if somebody gets my email, that's a pretty big deal. And so, yeah, I jumped on with Purse. I told them what was going on. They locked down my account just about a minute too late. I mean, the withdrawal was completed, and they locked down my account, but it was just too late. So for a half hour, I started digging around Google. I started changing some passwords, enabling two-factor authentication as much as I could. And then I thought to check my Google login history. And I discovered that nobody, for the past 28 days, nobody had been logged into my Google account, my email, except for my phone and my computer, both of which were sitting right in front of me. And so I was really worried at that point, because that meant that either Purse was being hacked or somebody had found their way into my computer or into my phone, which both of those would be really, really bad. I mean, not deadly, not destructive completely, whatever, but it would suck. So anyway, I kept communicating with Purse. I told them, hey, these emails, they came really fast. So it seemed like it was either automated or somebody was targeting Purse, because they really knew their way around the website if they were able to reset the password, type in the codes, request a maximum withdrawal. I mean, it was all within about 2 minutes, which, it could be done by a human that fast, but you would have to know your way around Purse. Anyway, that's my story. Eventually, they said, all right, yeah, it looks like there was a breach of some sort. They locked down all their funds. They said all funds would be covered. So that's one of the best things, is I didn't actually lose any money. For a while, they were talking about just accidental password reset emails, and they were telling the public, like, hey, we heard reports of these emails. Don't worry, all your funds are covered. And now, officially, we know it was a hack. But, like I said, they covered it from their own pockets. And it was only 10 Bitcoins. For a big company, 10 Bitcoins is nothing. I think, all in all, I think it ended up as well as we could hope for, in that it wasn't much, and they locked it down quick enough, whatever. Any thoughts, guys?
Well, you told me, as soon as you knew what was going on, you texted me, I remember, and, I went to check my account, and they had locked everything down, so I couldn't even log on, which, at first, after you told me, I went on there, and I didn't even want to log on, because I figured there might still be something wrong going on, and I might as well not touch anything. And I think I waited a bit to see, I don't know, to see if anything changed on their site, and they had like a lockdown screen. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that the biggest takeaway is that they took care of it as fast as they could, and it seemed like to me that it was pretty fast.
Yeah.
And they reimbursed you, which is a big deal.
Another big takeaway, though, I guess, this is huge. I should not have had that much money in there, especially since it wasn't even part of an order. It was just sitting there. It had been there for a couple of weeks. And it's one of those public service announcements that we could do. We did a few weeks ago. We talked about just, hey, there's a ton of Bitcoin scams. And everyone knows that, but it's worth mentioning. Well, that's true here, too. Everyone knows that you're not supposed to keep too much money in places like this, but it's worth mentioning again. Anytime that you use a service, even if it is designed to, like if you use Coinbase's multi-sig vault or something special like that, you always have to remember that there's risk involved, and you have to analyze that risk, and you have to store your money accordingly. And with Purse, it's not at all like Coinbase's multi-sig vault. It's not designed for that. And so I should have known, and you guys, anyone listening should know, only put money in when you need it. And I guess it's worth saying the reason I had that much in there is because I had done an order a few weeks ago, and one of them got canceled. And while I was waiting for the refund, I wanted to place the order again for the same thing. So I deposited that much money again and did the order again. And eventually the refund came through, but I didn't need that money, and I just left it in Purse. And like I said, I shouldn't have done that. You shouldn't do that. Don't leave too much money in there unless you're willing to lose it, which I guess in a sense I was willing to lose it. It wasn't a terrible amount to lose, but still I shouldn't have had it in there. So another public service reminder, be careful when keeping your money with other people, because even if they're the greatest people in the world, which, like I said, I'm still a big fan of Purse, no matter how great of people they are, they could get hacked by not great people. So
yeah, I mean, like you said, their main function isn't to be a wallet, and they're
exactly
not. And even wallets like Coinbase or other online wallets, they're not the best place to just keep stuff for a long time, a lot of stuff for a long time. That's just not the right way to do it. That's not how it's not the way you're supposed to do it, I guess.
Another thing in this story, this is from CoinDesk, the official story, they mention at the end that nobody with 2FA, two-factor authentication, had their funds stolen. So that's another reminder, is if you have the option to use two-factor, use it. That helps. So
yeah, I would love to use two-factor authentication with Purse, but they don't do SMS.
Yeah. That's the thing. Yeah, a lot of them you have to have an app installed, and
yeah,
which I don't know. I don't like
discrimination against people with dumb phones.
Yeah,
that's what I say.
Yeah, honestly though, I'm not a big fan of the app. I prefer SMS because with the app, if you lose your phone or if you get a new phone. And if you, I guess they probably have backup methods. I'm sure they do, but I don't know. I prefer SMS follows me no matter what phone I have, no matter what apps I have. But if I try to use an app, I either have to back it up, or I could lose the app, or I could lose the phone. I don't know. So yeah, I don't even use the app. I prefer SMS. But yeah, I guess Purse doesn't have that yet. Maybe they should grab it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's older. Well, I mean, it is older than.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, the reason, or one of the reasons that they might not, is because I've heard that the app is more secure for whatever reason. Oh, I guess it's because there are probably ways for people to see your texts or to get a hold of your phone number and copy it or whatever. There are ways that people could do that. Whereas with an app like Google Authy, I think it's Google Authy. Maybe it's just Authy. But that's kind of all confined to your phone. It really is kind of a hardware thing. You've got to have your phone with you. It can't really be hacked or duplicated. So I guess that could be part of it, because I have heard that the apps are more secure. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think SMS is really supposed to be secure. So but I'd still rather have SMS 2FA than nothing.
Yeah, well, really, we just got to get John a smartphone. We got to get, hey, if you want to donate to the show and help John get a smartphone, there are addresses, tipping addresses on our website. Check those out.
Yeah, you have to say that it's for me and not for them. The only thing is I can't promise that I will spend it on a smartphone.
If you get enough, I'm sure you would. That's kind of the idea. Give us a couple $1,000, and then, that'll be enough to cover whatever John wants plus a smartphone. So,
I don't know. I don't know if that's enough. But
actually, though, plugging the website and the tipping addresses reminds me that there are a few other cool newish things that I could plug, and that is one of the biggest things is our app. We do have a YMB and BTC app. We might have mentioned it before. We've had it for a couple weeks or a couple months, but it was a third-party app. It wasn't in the Google Play Store. Well, now it is. I spent the money. I wrote the descriptions. I got the correct images or whatever that you need to put it in the Play Store, and it's in there. So if you're interested in getting the app much easier than it used to be, check that out. Just go to YMBandBTC.com/app. It'll have all of our podcast episodes there. Any articles will be listed in the feed there. You can play the episodes from within the app. And it has our world-famous Bitcoin converter, which it's on the website. And you can convert from millibits to Bitcoins to Satoshis to Euros to dollars to whatever. We have that really awesome tool on our website, but now it's in the app too. So if you want to get that, look for it on our website. There's also a pretty cool, you'll notice it. It's a GIF image with Tim's face, and it says get the app on our website. So click that if you go to ymb.tc is our short link. So actually, I also just remembered I had a fun time when you submit an app to the Play Store. You have to fill out a questionnaire for the rating. It asks, like, is there any violence in this app? Is there any coarse language in this app? And a bunch of stuff like that. And thanks to Tim, I had to answer yes to a few of those questions.
How is that just me?
Tim, I've never said...
You were the only one who said on the show, right?
I think
you
that's
can
right.
cut that.
I'll bleep it out. I'll bleep it out. So you didn't actually say it.
Yeah, actually, do we ever have bleeps? That would be good. That would be funny.
We've done it for one of our commercials because we put it on the radio, so we kind of had to.
Yeah, that was for Jason King.
Yeah, we bleeped Jason King. So
it'll be good too because people won't know what word I said, so they'll be like, they'll go back and try and find it.
Which one did only Tim say?
The funny thing is,
I never listened to this again. I'm offended by that word.
I had to say yes to several questions, like I said, but the ratings in the U.S. it was rated teen. In almost every other country, Europe and Brazil, I don't even know. All these countries have different rating agencies. The U.S. was rated teen. Everywhere else, it was either 3 and up or all ages. So it kind of shows how the U.S. is a little bit sensitive to this kind of stuff. So
that's kind of surprising, though, compared to like how, most other countries are a lot more not judgmental. I guess stringent would work on what they allow in media.
I think it depends on what it is. Like, most of the ones you did were probably like with language and stuff. Yeah. And I think other countries are less, like, they care less about language. Like, especially, like, I think in England, like, you can say pretty much anything on TV.
Yeah.
And, like, but in I think America's, like, a lot more lenient about, like, violence.
Yeah, definitely the violence. Most other places, like the video games, Australia doesn't even get most video games. Or maybe it's either Australia. I know Germany has like a lot of touch-ups done to their stuff.
Yeah.
Everyone's a lot more... I can't really fault them, but it's still annoying, but everyone's a lot more concerned with violence than the language or explicit sex stuff. It's about, besides violence, America's more clamped down on everything.
I've seen like European commercials, and they're always like super dirty.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
European. I remember we would have a class in high school, and you'd have to get certain articles from certain websites, and always the British websites had like just topless women just like on the ads and in the news stories too.
Tim, are you sure that's not because ads are targeted?
It was at school. See, I mean, that would be a good joke, but it was at school.
Come on. What do you think what do you think other people look at on those computers?
Well,
that's true. Just because it's not targeted to you, somebody was using those computers.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like didn't they have like restrictions on those things?
Yeah, you would know, Tim. Yeah, you would know, Tim.
Yes, I would know. Of course I would know.
Anyway, I definitely, I agree. I've heard a lot of the same stuff. Really different standards, different things that they're okay with, different things that they're not okay with in different countries. But all I know is Tim's sexual expletives are acceptable for ages 3 and up in Brazil. So, are you tired of Bitcoin dice and ready for something different? Try Lucky Bit, the original falling coin game at luckybee.it. It's the most exciting Bitcoin game on the web. You can bet on 5 different payout lines and win up to 999 times your bet. You can even use their faucet to get some free Bitcoin. Dice is boring. Play different at LuckyBit. Check it out at luckybee.it.
Welcome back, everybody, from your corporate advertisement that you've just received. We're back to talk about something separately without Daniel again. He, against his better judgment, is letting John and I do this again. And today, we are not going to be scouring through a bunch of different websites and stuff and not coming to any kind of a conclusion. And being wrong about most of what we said anyway, and just generally making people unhappy. But this week, we're going to be looking at a chart from a Reddit post that Daniel felt safe giving to us to talk about and discuss. It's a chart that is, the post that it came with is saying that Bitcoin is up over the last, and then it gives a list of different time periods, and that the time periods are 1 hour, 3 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, 3 days, 7 days, 30 days, 6 months, and 2 years. And I'm not quite sure what his point of posting it up is, as far as that goes. John and I were already talking about this a little bit before the podcast. Maybe John can give his explanation for statistics and how he feels about them.
Well, I mean, this isn't necessarily the best example of what I was talking about. But, I mean, I think people in general now tend to be a lot more skeptical about statistics in recent history, because you can, depending on how you process data, you can make statistics say a lot of different things. This I don't think is really doing that. I mean, it is in a way. Like, he's
doing it like with the graphs. Like, yeah. He's cherry picking like when you pick the data.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Like, I was gonna say the 2-year one is especially like kind of misleading, because it's like, yeah, it's up over 2 years with a spike that's like 5 times larger than what it is now.
Yeah,
in there. And I said 5 times, and it was actually like accurate. I kind of just picked a random number, but like 5 times is actually about approximately what it is.
See, we're just on it today. We should probably just, anytime we have questions, just do the episode. Don't worry about looking up for stuff, and then we'll just probably get it right.
Yeah, that's how I roll.
Yeah, but I mean, it's interesting. You can look at the different charts, and they have, now I think he has charts for every one of them, like seconds, minutes, hours, days, weeks, months, years. And the data is all correct. But one of the more interesting charts is at the bottom, it's the one for the 2-year, and it does show, it goes huge spike, like what it looks like maybe 4 days after the chart starts, and then it just drops off from there the entire way. Since January 2014, it has dropped from
like 1200-ish, 1163.
Yeah, all the way to what it is now, which is like 246. So the chart doesn't look good at all, but it is technically correct.
Yeah, the thing is that it skips from 6 months to 2 years. So, like, that just tells you something, like, I don't know. And, if you look at that 6 month period just there, you can look, so that starts, like, before May.
Yeah, right before May.
So, like, if you look on the 2 year graph and go to where May is, and then you go back, like, a couple months, back into January and the end of 2014, like, it's higher. And also in that period, even just in the 6 month one, there's a spike in the middle. So it's still gone down over that period. And like you were saying about cherry picking, so if he does the 6 month one, but there's a huge spike in the middle. If he did a 3 month one, would be down. So it is like, you can make it look like it's going up all the time, even though there's been plenty of ups and downs. But if we go back to the Reddit post, what would a lot of people? Well, it was like, I think one of the first comments or something was like that price stability though, and that's true. So like if you look at that 2 year, and like you kind of squint at it a little bit, and like move your head back from your computer and squint, and like the last 7 or 8 months ish is kind of straight. It's pretty flat comparatively to the rest of the graph.
Since about January,
yeah.
It's probably the flattest it's been in 2 years.
Yeah. So like, well, I don't like talking about Bitcoin being up over these, like you said, cherry-picked spans of time. It has been stable, relatively, very stable relatively to how it's been in the past.
Yeah, and pretty much all the charts under 30 days do have the entire chart is a up. There are dips, but on the chart there's an increase. There is no point where it like drops way below or spikes up really high and then drops way below what it was.
Yeah, there are no like major outliers really.
Yeah. So as far as within recent time, the charts do show that there is at least a small increase. It's not much. Well, not much, but for Bitcoin, it's 7% change in the past 30 days is a positive.
Yeah, and like we were saying, 7% change with not a whole lot of variation from the mean line or whatever. Yeah.
One of the comments in the Reddit post is, haha, the financial equivalent of gerrymandering.
Yeah. See, the 30-day one, I feel like to make... What you really need is to have the mean line in here and like standard deviation and stuff like that. That definitely makes it a little bit more helpful, because you can't just like... When you analyze graphs like this, statistically, you don't just draw a line from the highest point, well, like from the starting point to the ending point and be like, oh, that's it. The way that you got to find like mean lines and standard deviation so that you know actually how whether it's actually being predictable.
Goes, yeah.
Like most of these graphs, if you analyze them, you can't really predict off of them. There's not a whole lot of extrapolation that would be accurate. But the 30-day one, and all the ones below 30 days are fairly even. I don't know. The 30-day one just doesn't have a lot of variation. I guess that's all I'm going to say about that.
I don't remember the spike back in July and August. As far, like, getting up to, like, just below 3. I guess I kind of do.
Yeah, I remember that. But yeah, so if you look at the...
That's been 6 months.
Just if I eyeball, like, where I think the mean line would be on that 2 year one, not even drawing an actual line. Just if you look at that, you can tell that the mean line is going to be negative. I don't know exactly what the slope would be, but yeah, it's still a negative slope.
Well, how would you even do that? Like, draw the
there's different ways for calculating it. But I mean, if you just got to get a line that the average distance between points is like the most equal, like across the whole graph.
But with that, I'm talking, like, I only very vaguely remember doing this, but how would that even work on a graph with that huge of a spike?
Well, it would pull that edge of the line up. Spikes basically will just pull the line.
And that's why it's not good for, well, I guess it would be not bad for predicting something. I mean, the rest of it's not that weird comparatively.
Yeah, I mean, so if you took out that first month or two on the 2-year graph, the slope would definitely be a lot farther down, or a lot more negative. The degree of negativity would be a lot higher if you took out that left side of the spike.
Yeah.
Probably gonna sound like an idiot again. Somebody's gonna be like, "You have no idea about statistics. What are you even talking about?"
Oh, but we just
That's
talk,
true.
man.
I'm not that great at statistics, but I don't think anything I said has been super wrong so far.
I mean, I don't want to brag, but I did pretty well on those math word problems. It also included graphs that were like shaded, and you have to like match them together, and like which ones were shaded and which ones had like zigzags through them, and you had to give those, like, I think they were fractions. I did pretty well on those, so I feel like, I don't know, pretty qualified when I look at stuff like this.
I hope people are as good at detecting sarcasm as I am.
No, I hope people are as like sensitive as they seem to be, and they're just like, I'm not gonna listen to this ever again. He's retarded. Which, yeah, I probably am, but isn't that more the fun of just watching me stumble through my life until I die?
All right, guys, advice of the day. What should people take away from this last hour or so that they've committed to us?
Don't put a whole Bitcoin in your purse account and then leave it there.
Come on, Tim, that was going to be mine.
What is my advice? When life gives you lemons, take the opportunity and use it.
Is that from the show, or are you just saying that?
I'm just saying that. I don't have any...
No. When life gives you lemons, I don't want your damn lemons. What am I supposed to do with these? Make life take the lemons back. I don't know.
No, when life gives you lemons, suck it.
Lick its balls.
No, I mean like suck the lemon.
Yeah, I mean that was more. Yeah.
I was trying to quote Portal there, John. Did you get that? I screwed it up, obviously, but that was Cave Johnson.
Let me explain my bad joke.
I also
further.
don't block the second Portal out of my memory, and I don't think that's the first one.
You don't like the second one?
It's mediocre.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Daniel, I think you're the only one that wouldn't agree with me.
I mean,
the first Portal is one of the greatest games of all time.
I agree.
I agree. It mediocre, but it's not nearly. Well, I don't know.
No,
I'm not gonna freak out about the first one either, but it's definitely not as good as the first one. The first one, the puzzles were not just let's find a port on the wall that I can actually shoot a portal onto.
This is my advice of the day.
Don't buy Portal 2, just get the orange box.
Play Portal. I don't care which one. Probably both. I mean, I agree. The first one, easily one of the greatest games of all time. But the second one, it had a pretty interesting story. It was hilarious. And the gameplay. I wouldn't say it was an interesting story. Tons of new gameplay stuff.
Well, it had a story compared to Portal
1. Co-op from the second one.
It was incredible.
Is worth it.
Yes.
They should have only put out co-op and not the rest of the game.
Anyway, yeah.
This is a discussion for another time.
Yeah. What's your
I could
advice,
go on
John?
for this for a while. Don't listen to Daniel's advice or opinion on video games. And
oh man.
Well, I can give advice.
If you want to make something look good, use a chart.
If you want to win, use statistics. Also, don't leave your mic on when you're not doing the real episode or something. I don't know how to word that.
Don't get caught with your mic on.
Yeah, don't get caught with your mics left on.
Beware of hot mics.
Like in your phone that's recording everything you say.
Or hot people named Mike. I mean, they could be pretty dangerous. You never know.
I think this is a good place to end it.
It was about 5 seconds.
All right, hey
ago.
guys,
It was a good place to end it.
real quick, check out our social media at you, me, and BTC on Twitter. Send us hate tweets, send us hate comments, send us hate email. Daniel at youmeandbtc.com. Also facebook.com/youmeandbtc. YouTube.com, we're on there. I don't think it's the same URL. Just search for you, me, and BTC, and have fun. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Or, I guess not see you, I will talk to you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to episode 94. All of the music in today's show was from John Stuart. Remember to check out this week's show notes at youmeandbtc.com and leave us a comment. We'll see you next Thursday.